How many phyla are presented in the following list of organisms? Echinococcus, Cyclospora, Aspergillus, Tinea, Toxoplasma, Trichinella. A1, B2, C3, D4, or E5. Well, Echinococcus has the phyla Platyhelminths. So I'm just going to abbreviate and put, if I can spell it, platy. Cyclospora has a Picaplexa. A Picaplexa complexa. Aspergillus has Ascomycota. Tinea has platy. Toxoplasma has Api complexa. And Trichinella has Nematoda. Wow, that's an ugly N. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the answer is 4D. Use the following choices to answer these questions. Put the above stages in order of development, beginning with the egg. Mericidium develops in the egg. In egg. And hatches. Mericidium also develops into Rhedia and reproduces asexually, and that enters into the snail. So enters into snail. Oops. Enter in snail. And it develops, let's put down here, it develops into Rhedia. And then it reproduces asexually. Then Cercaria develops within the Rhedia. And Cercaria then leaves the snail and enters a crawfish and produces Metacercaria. So we put leaves, snail. Enters the crawfish. And then produces Metacercaria. And then the adult human consumes the crawfish. That's infected. So we have 4, 2, 5, 1, and 3. 4, so we have 4, 2, 5, 1, 3, which gives us B. Why did I put 5? B. And that is our answer. Let's go to our next question, multiple choice. Well, we want to keep that showing. So if a snail is the first intermediate host of a parasite with these stages, which stage would be found in the snail? We see in stage 2 the snail in Redia, so the answer is B. Stage 2. Fleas are the intermediate host for Dipylidium caninum tapeworm, and dogs are the definitive host. Which stage of the parasite could be found in the flea? A. Cysticercus larva, B. Proglottids, C. Scolex, D. Adult. Well, we are going to eliminate B and C because these are not stages but actual parts of the tapeworm. So what we're left is with the larva and the adult. Well, we have our flea, which is our intermediate. It consumes larva, and then the larva grows in the flea. Then the dog will ingest the flea, the infected flea, with the tapeworm. And then the dog will be infected. And then from there, the larva will become the tapeworm, adult tapeworm. So we can cross D off, leaving us with A. And that is our answer. Which of the following statements about yeast are true? Yeast are fungi. Yeast can form pseudohyphae. Yeast reproduce asexually by budding. Yeast are facultatively anaerobic. All yeast are pathogenic. All yeast are dimorphic. Well, 1, yeast are fungi, which is true. Yeast can form pseudohyphae. Now, pseudohyphae are short chains of fungal cells that lacks separation of the daughter cells after budding. So this is true. Yeast reproduce asexually by budding, which is true. Yeast are facultatively anaerobic, true. All yeast are pathogenic. That is not true. All yeast are dimorphic, and dimorphic is the property of having 2 forms of growth. And yeast do not have 2 forms of growth, so we are going to say that this is false. So what we are left with is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we see that here with A, so the answer is A. I'm going to move this up a little bit. Which of the following events follows cell fusion in an ascomycete? Yeah, A, kinetophore formation, B, kinetophore germination, C, ascus opening, D, ascospore formation, E, kinetospore release. In plasmogamy, the haploid nucleus of the donor penetrates the cytoplasm of a recipient cell. Once that happens, then we get ascospore formation. So the answer is D. The definitive host for Plasmodium vivax is A, human, B, Anopheles, C, sporocyte, D, gametocyte. Well, with humans can be the intermediate host. Anopheles is a vector, the mosquito. Sporocyte is a diploid, cell in a certain spore forming plants produce haploid spores through meiosis. Diploid cell in a certain spore-forming plant produce haploid spores through meiosis. That's what a sporite is. And gametocyte is development, or the develop, that's an ugly V, develop into male and female sexual forms. So it's the formation of sexual forms of the male and female. So the definitive host for a Plasmodium vivax would be B, a vector, which would be the mosquito. Use the following choices to answer questions below. We're going to move this so you can see the last three questions, or multiple choice. So these are obligate intracellular parasites that lack mitochondria. Well, in order to know or answer these questions, or multiple choice, we need to know what these choices are. So we have Apiccomplexa, and that is an obligate intracellular parasite. And it's non-mobile. Ciliates, they are appendages, short appendages that propel cells through the environment. Dinoflagellates, they are unicellular. Algae, they produce neurotoxins that cause PSP, paralytic shellfish poison. And then Microsporidia, they lack mitochondria. They are obligate, intracellular parasites. Now we have our definitions for our choices. Let's go back to our multiple choice. These are obligate intracellular parasites that lack mitochondria. Well, we see that here in D. So it's Microsporidia. So the answer is D. These are non-motile parasites with special organelles for penetrating host tissue. Which one is non-mobile? And that would be A, Apicoplexa. So that would be our answer. These photosynthetic organisms can cause paralytic shellfish poisoning, PSP, and that is dinoflagellates. And that's C.